There is a kind of power that most people will never understand, not because it's complicated, but because it's invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't argue, explain, or perform. It simply exists, and the room adjusts. You've seen it before, maybe in a person who walks in quietly and somehow becomes the gravitational center of everything around them. You couldn't explain why. They didn't shout, didn't dominate the conversation, didn't wear the right suit or say the perfect words. They just were. And that presence, that unspoken authority, it was terrifying in the most elegant way. That is not charisma. That is not confidence. That is something far more dangerous. That is apex silence. The mastery of presence through the complete elimination of need. Most people walk into rooms performing. They're calculating how they're being received, adjusting their tone based on who's watching, rehearsing lines to seem interesting, laughing louder than they need to, nodding faster than they mean to. Their entire behavior is a negotiation for acceptance, and the room senses this. The room can always sense this, because performance creates a subtle, unspoken stench of desperation, and desperation is the very thing that erodes authority. People don't follow those who need them. They follow those who don't. This is what Machiavelli understood centuries before psychology had words for it. He didn't write about being loud. He didn't write about charisma. He wrote about control, about the man who moves through the world without betraying his interior, who gives just enough to keep others engaged, but never enough to let them in. That man is not cold. He is calculated. He is not detached. He is strategic. And when you learn to become him, the dynamic in every room you enter changes permanently. You were not born seeking approval. You were trained into it. From the very beginning, you were rewarded for performance. Smile and get a smile back. Share and be included. Explain yourself and be forgiven. The system built you into a responder, someone who calibrates their behavior to the reactions of others. And after years of that conditioning, you forgot that there's another way to exist. You forgot what it felt like to enter a space without scanning it for judgment. You forgot what it means to be completely indifferent to whether anyone in the room approves of you or not. That forgetting is where your power went, and this is where we go to get it back. The first principle of apex silence is the death of explanation. Most men destroy their authority the moment they open their mouths, not because of what they say, but because of why they say it. They explain because they are afraid of being misunderstood. They justify because they are afraid of being judged. They offer context because they are afraid of being dismissed. But every explanation is a transaction. You give someone the inside of your reasoning, and in doing so, you give them the keys to your vulnerabilities. A man who never explains doesn't give others the tools to dismantle him. His decisions are his. His silence about those decisions is sovereignty. Think about the people who have impressed you most in your life. Were they the ones who justified everything, or were they the ones who simply acted, moved, decided, without offering you a manual for how to feel about it? Power is not in the explanation. Power is in the certainty behind the action. When you stop explaining yourself, something strange happens. The people around you don't get confused. They get attentive. They start trying to read you, trying to decode you, trying to figure out what you're thinking. And in that effort, they are already under your influence. You haven't said a word, and they are already chasing your mind. The second principle is the architecture of stillness. Your body speaks before your mouth ever opens. And most men are broadcasting weakness every second of every day without realizing it. The quick glance around the room when entering, the slight lean forward to signal agreement, the laugh that comes half a second too early, the nod that says yes before the sentence is even finished. These are the invisible flags of someone who needs the environment to approve of them. Stillness is the opposite of all of this. Not rigidity, not coldness, deliberate, unhurried stillness. You move at your own pace because you have nowhere to be that is more important than exactly where you are. You hold your gaze not because you are trying to dominate, but because you are actually present, and present people have no reason to flinch. You don't fill silence with movement because silence doesn't make you uncomfortable. It is your natural habitat. When you operate from this kind of stillness, the room begins to organize itself around you, not because you demanded it, but because the environment always adjusts to its most stable element, and you have become the most stable element in the room. Think about the last time you watched someone truly still. Someone who didn't fidget, didn't scan for validation, didn't rush to fill the space. There was something unnerving about them, wasn't there? Something that made you unsure of where you stood. That discomfort you felt is the precise sensation that grants authority. Not fear in the violent sense, fear in the ancient sense. The recognition of something more controlled, more deliberate, more composed than yourself, and that recognition is involuntary. It bypasses logic and lands directly in instinct. You cannot argue someone out of being intimidated by genuine stillness. It operates below language. The third principle is what I call the economy of words. In a world drowning in noise, the man who speaks with absolute precision becomes extraordinary, not because he says brilliant things, but because every word he does say lands with weight. You've heard the phrase less is more, but most people treat it like an aesthetic preference. It is not. It is a power strategy. When you speak constantly, you become predictable. People learn your rhythms, your verbal tics, your ways of thinking. They begin to tune you out because they feel they already know what comes next. But when you speak rarely and with precision, every word becomes an event. People lean in. They replay what you said long after you've left the room. They wonder what you meant. They assign depth to your silences because your silences are everywhere. And that assigned depth, that projected meaning, it gives you influence over minds that have never even met your intentions. There is a practice here that changes everything. Before you speak, ask yourself 3 things. First, is this necessary? Second, does this add? Third, does saying this serve me or simply fill space? Most conversations fail this test. Most words fail this test. And when you begin running that filter, your speech compresses into something precise and lethal. You stop making noise, you start making statements. And statements from a man who speaks rarely feel like verdicts. The room hears them differently. They carry the gravity of someone who considered every other option and chose silence first. That choice is visible, and it is terrifying in the best possible way. The fourth principle is the mastery of non-reaction. This is where most men fail at the final threshold. They have learned to carry themselves well. They have learned to speak with precision. They have built the exterior of the man they want to be. And then someone says the wrong thing, offers the wrong glance, takes something that should have been theirs, and every layer they built gets stripped away in one uncontrolled reaction. The flush in the face, the sharpened tone, the rushed defense. And just like that, the room knows exactly where to press. Your reaction is a confession. It tells the world what matters to you, what threatens you, what you are afraid of losing. And the moment someone has that information, they have leverage. True silence is not just about words. It is about the interior. It is the discipline to feel everything and show nothing unless it serves a purpose, not because you have become numb, but because you have become deliberate. You feel the insult land. You register the disrespect. You process the provocation. And you choose, consciously, what deserves a response. That choice, that pause between stimulus and response, is where your freedom lives. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler must learn how to set the fox and the lion aside and become both at the same time. The fox sees what the lion cannot. The lion does what the fox will not. But it is the combination, the calculated composure that can strike without warning, that makes a man truly dangerous. You do not react because you are above reacting. You respond when it serves you. And when you respond, it is with the terrifying calm of someone who has already decided the outcome. That calm is not performance. It is not an act. It is the fruit of months and years of training yourself to live inside your own mind rather than inside the opinion of others. When you stop reacting to the external stops having jurisdiction over you. And that loss of jurisdiction is the definition of freedom. The fifth principle is the power of strategic disappearance. Availability is the most underrated weakness in the modern world. When you are always accessible, always present, always ready to engage, you eliminate your own mystery. And mystery is the engine of influence. Think about anything you have ever been drawn to. A person, a place, an idea. Wasn't part of that attraction the sense that it was not entirely graspable, that it held something still unrevealed? Desire only exists in the gap between what you have and what you cannot yet reach. When you are always fully present, always fully accessible, there is no gap. There is nothing to chase. You become ordinary because ordinary things are everywhere. But the man who disappears strategically, who goes quiet for periods, who is not always available, who creates space around himself, that man becomes rare, and rare things are assigned value, regardless of their objective worth. You do not disappear to be dramatic. You do not disappear to punish. You disappear because your interior life is so full, so purposeful, so consuming that you simply have nothing left over for performance. And people sense that. They sense that you are occupied with something more important than being observed. And that sense, that intuition that your inner world is richer than your public one, makes them desperate to gain access. When you return, you say little, you observe much, you offer presence without explanation, and the room which spent your absence projecting meaning onto you receives your return as a significant event. You have done nothing extraordinary. You have simply existed on your own terms. And existing on your own terms, in a world where most people exist on everyone else's terms, is the most extraordinary thing a man can do. Here is what happens when you put all of this together. You stop entering rooms as a candidate and start entering them as a force. The self-questioning, the rapid scanning for social cues, the rehearsed lines, all of it falls away because it becomes incompatible with who you are becoming. You develop a baseline of composure that others feel before they understand why. Conversations begin to calibrate to you rather than the other way around. People start treating you with a care they cannot quite explain. And some people, the ones who fed on your previous need for approval, will become uncomfortable. They will push harder. They will test more. They will try to find the buttons that used to work, and they will find nothing. And that nothing, that complete absence of reaction, will be the most powerful thing you have ever communicated. This is not about becoming a villain. It is not about becoming cold or disconnected from the world. It is about becoming so aligned with your own center that the noise of the world simply cannot reach the core of you. The greatest men in history, the ones who moved mountains without making speeches, who shifted empires without raising their voice, did not achieve that by becoming louder or more charming or more agreeable. They achieved it by becoming more themselves, utterly, terrifyingly, completely themselves. You have been given the blueprint. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you are willing to do what most people will never do, which is to stop needing what other people think of you. The moment that need dies, something extraordinary is born. Something quiet and precise and undeniable. Something that does not chase, does not beg, does not explain. Something that simply moves through the world, unhurried and unafraid, and leaves every room wondering what just happened. That something is you, once you've decided to stop being anyone else. If something in these words cut deeper than you expected, if you felt the truth of them before you finished reading them, then you already know what you need to do. The transformation has already begun. Not in the noise, not in the performance, not in the moment when everyone is watching, but here, in the silence of recognition, in the stillness of finally understanding the game that was always being played and choosing to play it differently. This is not the beginning of a strategy. This is the beginning of who you actually are. Welcome to Apex Silence. They will feel it before they ever understand it.